What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And on The Stack, we talk about a bunch of books that have come out this week, and there's some exciting stuff out there, folks.
Exciting stuff.
Real exciting. So let's get into it with Runaways, number one from Marvel, written by Rainbow Rowell, art by Elena Casagrande. The Runaways are back from the lauded team that took them on a couple of years back, and they're tying into the One World Under Doom event in, I gotta say, not to tip my hand here too much, in the most organic way possible, as Doombots going around are trying to take back all of the loose Doombots, including the Doombot who has joined the Runaways team. They're in very damaged emotional places, as the team always is, and Rainbow Rowell just totally gets this team and what makes them win.
Yeah. And is able to bring these ideas that we've been in this family a lot over the course of this run, and there's always the interpersonal issues, but it still seems fresh every time, and it's just a great mix of fun, sarcasm, a little bit of action, a little bit of like just Marvel Comics, sci-fi superhero twist magic sprinkled on top. Great. And the fact that the Doom stuff is just folds right in here on top of it is really impressive, the timeliness of it, and it's all still working.
It's weird to hear you talk about sprinkles in a positive manner, because before you were talking about how you don't like sprinkles. So, but
I would never say I don't like sprinkles, Pete.
All right. Well,
a lot of times I'll go to get ice cream and just pour a bowl of sprinkles right down my mouth.
Yeah, dude. Nothing like taking the straight sprinkle. Anyways,
I love dry chunks of old chocolate that have been in an ice cream truck for perhaps generations.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like eating candy dust.
Yeah, that's my favorite kind of dust. Anyways, I think this is awesome.
Can I get one with sprinkles? No, just the sprinkles, please.
Yeah, exactly. A bowl full of sprinkles. This is awesome. I really enjoyed this comic. I thought it was such a great. Even knew what was coming, I was still rooting against it. Like, they did this great job of setting up this whole thing of like collecting Doombots. I was like, oh no, they're collecting Doombots, but not our Doombots on Runaway, not our bot. No,
Surely
no.
There could be a plot of some sort.
No, wait, it's better not become a
bot plot.
And then when it happened, I was like, oh my God. So yeah, just such a great job. Well done mixture of emotion and kind of action and amazing art. So yeah, I was really impressed by this.
And I'll also say there's a lot of complicated continuity going on with the Runaways and One World Under Doom and all of this stuff, but Rainbow Rowell does an excellent job of distilling it down. So this probably isn't, but if this was your first issue of Runaways ever, you could actually pick this up, I think, and jump right in, which is very impressive.
It would be helpful to know about Doom and Doombots, though, because that's sort of a central focus.
Sure.
And if you don't know about that, that would be pretty weird why a guy had... It's like if we were like, of course there's Pete and his Pete bots. But we never explained that Pete created an army of his own bots to go gather candy, cookies, and meatball subs for him and bring back to his home in Pennsylvania. I do have one other thing to say about this comic. We find out the name of the sort of name/number of our Doombot. It is
right.
There's a line here. It is time to come home, C53. Now, cool. What are the odds of C and 53 coming together as a letter and number combination? It doesn't seem like random. Because I do a podcast called Mission to Zix. We just have a new podcast coming out called
Here we go.
There's a reason for this. And we just have a new podcast coming out centered on my character called the Young Old Durf Chronicles. It's in the Tribeca Film Festival right now. In Mission to Zix, there's a character that is a droid whose name is C53.
So
what are the odds?
So you're saying C...
I think so.
53 is so popular right now. It's just so hot right now.
No, that sounds like it would probably be a reference.
I think so. Otherwise, it's a crazy coincidence. So I'm curious if Rainbow is a Zix fan and shouts to that if it's true.
Oh, that's really fun. Well, if anybody knows Rainbow Rowell, or I guess I could shoot her an email after the podcast and find out, let us know, or we'll find out on our own.
I did like Doombot kind of struggling with it. Well, not struggling, but kind of pondering his own existence and like his own opinion versus being Doom. I thought that was fun.
Yeah. Great book. Yeah. Here's another bunch of bummed out superheroes that are back after a long break. The Umbrella Academy, Plan B, #1 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Gerard and Gabriel Bá, art by Gabriel Bá. This is picking up on a cliffhanger from, I want to say, like 2021 or something like that. Maybe even longer than that, where they finally revealed the Sparrow Academy, the maybe evil opposites of the Umbrella Academy at the end of, I think it was the Hotel Oblivion arc. Again, this is like from years ago, to the point that they already kind of covered this on the TV show. The TV show wrapped up and nobody liked the ending of that. I think based on this is going to do it. Right. This is great to have this book back. It's always impeccable. And I love this issue because it goes all the way back to the beginning of the Umbrella Academy and gives us the same thing, but shows it paralleled with the Sparrow Academy, what's different about them, where they're from. The story here is entirely different than what we saw on the TV show, and I'm very excited to get back into this world.
So you're taking the hot take that the comic is better than the TV show, is what you're saying?
No, it's a cold take. I never said it was hot.
All right. All right.
How many cold takes here are we having today? Are we doing just ice cold takes?
Ice cold takes, baby. I
just
agree
in time for summer.
This is awesome. It's great to be back in this world. It's great to kind of be back with these characters. I miss Klaus so much. He is so fun. This is just so kind of enjoyable to be back in this world. I love the writing. I love the characters. So it's the kind of Mr. Hargraves and stuff that we're used to, but to just kind of from this other Academy's point of view. So hopefully, maybe this Hargraves is a little nicer to the kids, but I doubt it. This follows up on all of the Umbrella Academy books we've liked with the same formulation, with new ideas, great dialogue, a lot of like sort of coy approaching toward a coy approach to the plot. And it's very fun, great characters. It's really interesting how close, like you're saying, Alex, this is hewing to the TV show, because I feel like we haven't done that before. Mm-hmm. Umbrella Academy is always sort of purposefully bouncing off what's come before, mainstream comics, and now this is like doing a TV show thing, so it creates a different it's a different
that's what
read.
I was kind of getting at, and I haven't checked the dates on this, but we had basically an entire TV show between arcs of the Umbrella Academy, between Hotel Oblivion and now this Sparrow Academy Plan B arc. So the thing that surprised me was seeing Christopher the Floating Cube, which I was like,
yes.
For some reason, I just thought they invented that for the show, but they didn't. And the showrunner of Umbrella Academy did talk pretty openly about how they had the blessing of Gerard and Gabriel Bá to be like, yeah, go ahead, do your own thing. And they very much did their own thing. But they also laid out for them what they were going to be doing for the Sparrow Academy. So even though this is coming years later, it originated with Wei and Bá. So yes, it creates a little bit of intellectual dissonance when you're reading the book, but I still like it, and I love Gabriel Bá's art, and it's weird and it's fun.
Yeah, and I do think it makes more sense. This feels like a more natural like story for coming. Like this comic feels right to the material, while the TV show felt like they're doing this TV show thing. While this feels native to the comic. So like I don't know. I feel like you're saying I will enjoy this more. But I'm. It's hard to like divorce myself from what I've already seen with my eyes and heard with my ears.
It's probably going to be the same thing when George R. Martin releases Winds of Winter, a thing that I'm sure is going to happen at any moment now. And we've already seen Game of Thrones, where it's going to like kind of be playing in our head a little bit, So.
Oh, I'm sure everyone's so super excited to finally read that book, which I believe has been said that it'll be spit out by the devil onto George's grave at some point. I think is what the publishing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman, #1 from DC Comics, written by Todd King, art by Belén Ortega. This is spinning off the very popular backup stories in Wonder Woman. And here we're not getting not one, not two, but 3 Trinities from different time periods. That's what we got in different backup stories, but here they're all together on one adventure as time is broken and everybody is corgis, and Pariah keeps getting called Piranha. But... and now I should have said this earlier, but I'm going to put a blanket spoiler warning on everything that we're talking here. There are actually some big ramifications for Wonder Woman comics going on here. This isn't just a fun little goof. They're getting at something bigger that means some big things for at least the Wonder Woman side of the DC universe.
Yeah, Tom King's really cutting loose lately. I feel he's like, oh, you want me to do, you expect me to do one genre? No. And this comic is a perfect example of like starting in one place and ending up somewhere completely different. Like, it's a fun, freewheeling, feels like a comedy comic. It reminded me of like the work he did on the Looney Tunes comic he did back in the day, by taking something goofy and making it sort of dark. That was the Elmer Fudd comic he did. And this is like the flip. He takes something that has been purely fun in the backups in the Wonder Woman book, and he finds a way to really tether it to the ground, bring in a lot of continuity, or at least flexing on the continuity and the time travel nature of this story, and landing somewhere that I'm like, oh, wow, this is a big idea. So like, that's hard to do and surprising. I thought the art really supported the idea as well, by being lighthearted and fun, but still able to deliver real emotion.
Yeah, I mean, the art is fantastic. I mean, we also have a lot of cute, adorable moments in here with the super puppies and super corgi and all that kind of stuff. So it is an interesting mixed bag of important stuff as well as light and fluffy, adorable stuff.
And to be clear, you're using positive mixed bag in this case, like a pick-a-mix bag.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
right.
Because mixed bag usually has a negative connotation, so I just wanted to make sure. It was clear.
But here's the thing: where do you usually encounter a mixed bag? Are you like having a lunch situation where you're like, yeah, put a bunch of stuff in the bag and I'll eat a sandwich and also some dried vomit?
I like to mix my own bags and stuff. You know what I mean? I think it's a fun way.
You mix good and bad stuff, Pete?
Always.
Like you eat you mix human food and dog food and just munch on both.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a mixed bag.
Have you ever had a garbage plate? I believe that's what that is.
Also, I really like the reveal at the end there as well. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Great book. Next up, Death of the Silver Surfer, #1 from Marvel, written by Greg Pak.
About time this guy died.
Sumit Kumar. And there's a version of him about to be in a big movie, so you know what Marvel does. They kill off the characters just as the characters become popular. But here... I'm going to steal a bit from Pete and say great cover here. This is an image that has stuck with me, and I would say cover of the week. You just get the surfer's board in red and a diagonal slash across the cover. He's sitting on it all alone beyond with a moon over him. Really, really beautiful image. And there's a yin and
planet
yang
below him. Yeah, exactly.
Thing going on. Just gorgeous. Gorgeous.
I would say epic cover. It's an epic cover.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're saying the same thing, both of you. There's no difference.
Anyway, it's a great cover, but yes.
What my issue is, like, why is he rebranding as the Red Surfer here? Like, he's the Silver Surfer.
How dare you?
Is it blood? Is it a blood board? Is it hot? Like a hot stove? What's going on? Or
it's just a kind of a interesting cut between the yin and yang, and the Silver Surfer is going to have to make some tough decisions.
I think he's sponsored by Hobie.
Hobie?
Well, I think this is a
Hobie, the sort of 90s lifestyle brand.
Oh, not did like Halloween, the Adam Sandler movie on Netflix.
Here's the thing, Alex. Both of our references were bad there. Both were bad.
I would like to get back to this comic if we could, because this is a hell of a cool issue, hell of a start. I'm very excited to see what's going to go on here. This is really setting something up cool, and I think Marvel did a great job by selecting the team, because not only is the art amazing, but so is the writing. So I am very excited for more of what's going to happen here, and a lot is teased and kind of laid out, and I'm very excited. I don't know if I mentioned that.
this made me
Can I real quick say something about the plot before we get into it? So, Silver Surfer, as you might expect per the title, is not actually dying yet. It's not him sick or anything like that. I was actually very surprised about what was going on here, because instead you get a new Hunter character who is outside of the Marvel Universe in a certain way, working for a new organization who is sent to kill him because he's an alien, and aliens are fair game, but there's more players that are coming in from Greg Pak's comicography, if you will, bibliography, who are going to show up here over the course of the run. So I don't know. I only bring this up to say that, like, I expected going in, like, Silver Surfer's cosmic radiation is causing him to slowly die and he tours the universe, but that's not what this is at all. This is much more of a big action movie with some big ideas that Greg is throwing out there.
Silver Surfer is being tarnished, but who will dip him in that weird chemical your grandma has in her cabinet? That's what we'll find out in the Death of the Silver Surfer. I agree with you. I think Greg Pak does two cool things here. Respects, like, just the beauty of the Silver Surfer as a character. This is a character that I feel like is just horribly underserved in the Marvel Comics universe. We just never... And I don't know why that is. Is it because Silver Surfer has been such a fail? It's not. I mean, it's not necessarily hard to do. It doesn't have to be.
It's a sad story. It's not like
surfing is inherently fun. Having a fun time.
He's working for somebody who's murdering millions of people.
Oh, you've never had a bad job with a boss who's sort of like overbearing? Pete?
Yeah, I'd say there's a big difference here.
The Silver Surfer is all of us. He has a tough job that's stressing him out, but all he wants to do is surf. Hang 10, America. Hang 10, us.
Oh my God.
But I do think, like, the Silver Surfer is always, like, has so much going for him as just a character. The job part, the loneliness, the sad past, the power, his inherent goodness that I think Greg Pak really serves here in this comic. And so I love that Greg is really doing that. He talks about this in the back matter a little bit in the book. On the other side of it, like, Greg brings in all this newness to it, this stuff that feels like it's going to be a little bit commenting on our real world. I don't think he's going to get political per se, but he's definitely talking about real issues, corporations, and I think he is using these ideas of job, why we do the things we do. He's created this, what I think is a new character, who is sort of in her own way working for her own Galactus, and seems gleefully doing so. So she's on the opposite end of the Silver Surfer, and the Silver Surfer is having a very, like, turn the other cheek, Jesus-like moment in this comic, and I'm curious how these characters are going to affect each other. Really great start. One of my favorite books of the week.
Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
Well, let's find out if they do, talking about Toxie Team-Up, #1 from AHOY Comics, written by Mark Russell, art by Richard Pace. This is the first of a new series that is teaming up the Toxic Avenger with characters from AHOY Comics. The first one, of course, is Jesus Christ from the Second Coming book by Mark Russell. Here, Jesus and Toxie end up at the same soup kitchen, working together and tangling with some bad dudes. What'd you guys think about this?
Yeah, I really had a good time with this. I thought this was fun. I thought it was a good take on the Jesus here. I love the art style. I just thought this was a good, fun idea and great execution. It was kind of cool to see Jesus trying to make things work, and the kind of different reactions people had to him. Yeah, I really love this. I thought this was kind of a touching story and a great use of Toxie.
And a great use of Jesus. I wonder if this comic really gets passed around to the right people, higher ups in the Catholic Church.
Yeah, Justin, you should have taken this to the new Pope. You know what I mean?
I'm going to see what I can do to get this in one of many cardinals or popes' hands. And maybe this could really add a second figure. Because imagine going to your local church and seeing Toxie up there next to your guy Jesus. You know,
sweet. Yeah,
I thought this was really fun. Mark, we've talked to him about Second Coming before, and the thing that comes through is he actually does this respectfully. This is not supposed to be sacrilegious. This is exploring the idea of Jesus as a savior type figure and what it means if he came down to earth and interacted with people and dealt with real people. Mark has a religious background. He is a religious guy, and I think that comes through here, but he doesn't forget to make it funny at the same time. So yeah, perfect pairing, even if with the shocking cover, but it absolutely works.
Well, I think what's highlighted here is just how similar Toxic Avenger and a Jesus who is like the Jesus from the Bible coming back to Earth. They're both like innocents who are like trying to figure out people at the same, and I think this comic really highlights that, and how they are outsiders, which is something that I think modern religion, I feel like that's why Mark Russell is really into the Second Coming book, is like the way that religion has changed so much is interesting. And so to put it in the context with a B-movie character really fits that in a really fun way, I thought, in this comic.
And when I looked down, I saw one set of footprints and some goop because the Toxic Avenger had carried me.
Oh, wow. Oh, you should get checked out for like radiation and
no, I'm dying. That's how I wanted to like segue into telling you guys.
Congratulations, man.
And let's just remember that's how we do want to tell people. Congratulations. Wow, really quick to say that from our guy P. LePage.
Thanks, dude. Can't wait to have Satan spit some stuff up on me.
Well, I'm looking forward to telling your kids crazy stories about you. You know what I mean?
Oh, great. Robin,
made up ones?
Man,
made up ones or real ones?
One time we taped a podcast, another time we taped a podcast. That's it.
Hey, Robin, I got bad news. We're never going to need to tell stories. These podcasts are online forever. They could just press play.
Robin and Batman, Jason Todd, #1 from DC Comics, written by Jeff Lemire, art by Dustin Nguyen. This is a sequel series. The first one, of course, focused on Dick Grayson. Now we are on to the jerk Robin, Jason Todd. And oh boy, he acts like a total jerk here until he doesn't.
And here's the thing. People are going to read this comic, and perhaps on this very podcast, and the suckers are going to say, the art's beautiful. The art's really cool. It's really cool to see Dustin Nguyen on this comic.
Some might say it's worth it for the art alone. It's so good.
Some might say that, but those people are suckers.
Also, some might say, maybe people who are fans of JT Sizz, who just goes by JT now for some reason, might say something like, oh man, you're really get into some, inside Robin's head here, which is very enjoyable. It's kind of
we get dark. Inside the egg, the Robin's egg itself, because that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's easy to love this art because this art is fantastic, and it's not something we see a lot in the Bat family. But I think this story about Jason Todd is something that we haven't seen a lot. Jason Todd featured in Hatoosh as a character that you're like, oh, okay, that's a very surface understanding of a human being. Mm-hmm. And this comic goes the other way and tries to point to, like, look, this is a Robin, a kid who has a complicated mental situation, family history. He is now a crime fighter living with a butler and a man who are like sort of strangers to him. Of course, it's going to be hard for him. And I feel like I haven't seen that told in this way, and I really enjoyed the actual story. Pete, if you want to be the sucker I mentioned earlier, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I do think the art is absolutely gorgeous. The watercolors are just so beautiful. But to agree with the JT here, this is nice to kind of really sit in this idea and kind of think about Robin and what he's been through and how crazy it's got to be to kind of just all of a sudden be fostered by a billionaire, and then you got to fight crime, and then you got to do things exactly how he wants to do it.
Oh, you mean my dream?
Yeah,
you mean my absolute dream?
Actual dream. Yes, yeah.
How old? What's the outer edge of like becoming a youthful ward?
Young ward.
Yeah. Am I there? Am I still in the? Am I still? Should I just need to throw on the right spandex?
You're never too old. You're never too old. Well, what you got to do is go around, find some billionaires, steal their tires, and they will adopt you as a young ward. That's just how it works.
Oh, man. That's Elon Musk. I feel like you're saying Elon Musk, Alex.
I don't want to say it, but I'd be careful, though. If you try to take the tires off a Tesla, it'll explode.
To finish my point here, I would just like to say, though, the weird part to me, though, was Alfred kind of being like, yo, Batman, this Robin kid is fucking weird. I didn't like that move. Everything else I was really on board for.
Alfred's
didn't feel
nasty.
no, that's not.
Alfred's
not
nasty.
that guy, dude. Alfred's not that guy.
I don't know.
He is
I think
now.
This comic, this comic would tell you different.
Giant-sized Dark Phoenix Saga #1 from Marvel, written by Collin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing and Steve Foxe, art by Reis and Lucas Werneck. Miss Marvel is being tugged through time alongside a old, not exactly, but basically version of Legion. Here, per the title, they end up in the midst of the Dark Phoenix Saga, and then we get a backup story about the relationship between Jean Grey and Scott Summers, one of the Revelations backup stories that is going to be running throughout these one-shots. I can't remember whether we liked or were mostly confused about the first issue. I think I liked it, but I don't remember how you guys felt. How'd you feel about the second one?
Well, I gotta say, I'm over the giant size a little bit at this point. You know what I mean?
Wow, after 2 issues?
2 issues, and I'm already
What are
over
you,
it.
getting tired? You getting
Well,
tuckered out?
I feel like, you're just charging us more, you know what I mean? And then throwing like 10 more pages in there.
Oh, okay. So instead of go big, you're go home.
I would just be like, well, let's keep it reasonable. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to.
Regular size Dark Phoenix Saga?
Regular size.
Pete, you like giant size everything. How are you suddenly like overloaded with 10 extra pages of great story?
I mean, okay, if you think so. But I was just like, spoilers for this, but I was really hoping, because for a moment it seemed like Phoenix had killed Scott Summers, and I was fucking super pumped. I was just like, hell yeah, this is going to be awesome. And then kind of after that was a huge letdown. But I do think this is interesting, the twists and turns here. So I was having fun at times, but also like you knew what Jean Grey was going to do at the end. You know what I mean? She's going to make the big sacrifice. She always does. She's a hell of a person to keep kind of taking on this huge gauntlet. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens here, or what happens, but I was a little kind of like harumphed at the start of this.
A bit harumphed. I mean, for a Kelly and Lanzing story, I expected a little bit more sort of surprise with this. Like, this felt like a pretty even just like witnessing of the Dark Phoenix Saga and it coming sort of unfurled in a slightly different manner based on these characters. So that was... I enjoyed it fine. It's interesting the way they're weaving this story together. It's a dense story that we're getting, and we're jumping, this is a spoiler for the end of the issue, we're jumping to another iteration of these two characters traveling to a different flashpoint in the X-Men history. So, curious what the overall idea here is. It's not super clear besides it. Miss Marvel.
Say, I think it's like... Yeah, I agree with you. We don't exactly know. I mean, we get more of Miss Marvel getting comfortable with her mutant powers, which are her light powers from the MCU. And I'm cool with that, and I'm cool with her versus this version of Legion. That's a fun matchup. The thing that I just is throwing me is this book's take on time travel, which is basically like, whatever. Like, who cares? Yeah. Like, literally, Miss Marvel runs into the beginning of this issue, ends up in the Dark Phoenix Saga. Last time she saw them was at the original giant-size X-Men, the founding of the Uncanny X-Men, and they're like, oh, hey, Miss Marvel, you're back. And she's like, yep, same time travel adventure. Like, sounds good. We're fighting G. And they're like, here we go. And there don't seem to be any repercussions whatsoever to absolutely anything that's happening with her time travel, despite the fact that she's like, Jean Grey's the Phoenix. Let me lay it out for you. I'm going to tell you all the information because I read the comics 30 years ago. So weird, like, unless we come back to like a ruined Marvel universe, I'm not sure how this works.
Well, and here's this as a writing challenge though. Like, what do you do? Do we have the characters be like, what are you doing here? You've traveled through time? How? When that's happened too much. But I do think there needs to be, that's what I'm saying, there's not much of a new idea here. Like, I think we need some of that energy to fuel something that we have seen a lot of.
I think they need to Back to the Future to it. Like, not to backseat write it, because that's terrible, but, like, if it was them just staying out of the reaches of everything, it would be a different sort of thing where they'd be like, oh, we can't mess up time, but nobody seems to care at all. Nobody thinks time is going to be ruined. Nobody thinks it's going to affect it in any way. They're just crashing on forward with whatever they're changing.
Well, I guess... Good.
Sorry, we've interrupted Pete a bunch of times. Go ahead.
One thing I wanted to kind of, Justin brought up this ideas of no surprises, but I bet you Gladiator was pretty surprised when he read the script. You know what I mean? Like, he had to be pretty surprised to be like, wait, what happens?
Do you think they email the different characters the scripts before they have to show up on set to act in the panels?
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what I think happens.
Nice.
By the way,
me again, not saying much, just flying mad. Okay.
I think it was last week we incorrectly called Gladiator Guardian like 15 times, so
that was embarrassing, but I stand by the opinion that he is boring. That's how boring he is. We don't even quite know his name.
You got the name wrong, so your opinion doesn't stand.
Yeah, ooh. I'm saying my opinion reflects how boring he is. But I would, to take your point, Alex, like how they could do this differently, I think they should shatter it more. If they're going to do something, go harder, have the universe falling apart, because it's not like we're going to revisit this idea. It's about these characters moving through it. So like, I think lay waste behind, because that's what I think has been a little too repetitive, is like a character travels through time or across dimensions, and then they very carefully like, well, I guess I'll leave. Everything is fine here in case anyone ever wants to revisit. I'm like, we don't need to keep doing that. Let's smash some stuff while we're doing it. But I did want to highlight the backup, because I want the Scott-Jean relationship. I think there's power there, and that's been an underserved story. We spent so much time in Krakoa with Scott, Jean, and Wolverine living in some sort of sex mansion. And did we get any stories about that? Where's Sex House? And it's fine. We've moved past that. On the moon.
Doesn't seem like
a sex house on the moon.
In the logo, would the X be larger, probably, in Sex House?
I think so. That's the title that I'm pitching.
Yeah.
With a couple dashes.
Sex Force? Probably not. Don't call it that. That's a bad title.
Yeah. No. But I do think this is a very sweet story, this backup about Scott and Jean's relationship, and I would like to see... not a full romance comic, but let's have them go on an adventure. In another comic this week, we get a reference to the adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. Give me some of that.
Yeah. Moving on, talking about Blood Type, number one from Oni Press and EC Comics, written by Karina Becco, art by Andrea Sorrentino. This is the new EC Comics, and I think this is true of the old one as well. The first ever serialized ongoing story under the EC Comics imprint. And here we're following a vampire named Ada, who just wants to eat people, and instead she's running into a bunch of other creatures. That's a huge bummer for her. Pete, you seem pretty into this, so take it away.
Yeah, this is fun. You know, I mean, the thing about vampires is they get to the good vacation spots first, and then you're fucked. You know what I mean? You can reserve a bungalow, but if there's a vampire in there, you're just, your whole vacation is screwed. So you really got to be careful. But I do enjoy this. I think the art's impressive. I like the darkness to it to kind of set up this tone. I think there is a fun kind of mix of lightness and darkness. But yeah, I think this is a solid issue that kind of sets up some interesting kind of problems for what's to come. So yeah, I'm excited about this.
Nice to have some fun vampires, and I think the sort of the more lighter philosophy of our main character is a nice counterposition to the Andrea Sorrentino art that is very dark and sort of moody in a classic vampire story. That's fun. I think it's funny that we still get the story introduced by an EC Comics horror guy who's like, hey, look at this. It's sort of ongoing, so I'll never be back. Bye.
Have you ever seen Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight? It's like that.
Yeah.
Hey, ever seen Baywatch Nights?
What are you guys watching? What's in your queue?
Oh, that's funny. I've been lately just dressing up in full clown makeup, sneaking into people's homes and whispering into their ears while they're sleeping, have you ever seen Baywatch Nights? Do you think that's the scariest thing that could happen to you?
Yes, it is.
It's pretty up there. That's a very particular type of horror. Because a lot of people haven't seen it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, so they get scared. They're like, oh, I forgot to watch Baywatch Nights.
What have I been missing? They turned back to me and said, yes, of course I have. I liked the blend of the lightness of Baywatch and the darkness of these characters encountering a science fiction world, even though that is sort of a big juxtaposition into their Baywatch world of fun, drama, and light life-saving.
Honestly, what the new streaming atmosphere needs is a David Hasselhoff, and they don't have it.
Don't hassle the Hoff. Good night.
Absolute Batman. Good night. Absolute Batman #9 from DC Comics, written by Scott Snyder, art by Nick Dragotta. This is kicking off a new arc featuring Absolute Bane, who's even larger than the very large Absolute Batman. Batman sneaks into Arc M, teaming up with all of his friends, as well as Alfred, who's like more of an acquaintance, let's be honest.
Hey,
and they're looking for Croc, Waylon, who has been taken by the Arc M facility, and that's where he runs smack into Bane. Pete, you're clapping and cheering and
I'm so pumped for this.
Your feet.
This is what I wanted, because Absolute Batman is so jacked and huge. My first thought was, oh shit, he's outbaning Bane. But then when we get Bane in this world, he is just so much more jacked. I couldn't believe how they took this jackedness to another level. I was just guffawed by the fact that when you saw Bane for the first time, he was like, oh, this is just regular me. I haven't even turned on the venom yet. And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, this is awesome. This is just such a blast. I love this issue. This is a sick Bane cover. Yeah, I am just absolutely having a blast with this. There's some real just fun OMG moments here. And yeah, I'm very excited for this new arc.
Pete, you better check your temperature, because you've got a sickness for the thickness, and the thick just keep getting thicker.
It just keeps getting thicker.
This cover is like the perfect example of what Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta are doing here. It's like regular Batman and Bane, except the muscles are unbelievably bigger, the tubes are thicker. Batman has spikes on his head and just random spikes coming out of his body for no reason at all. Like, everything is enhanced in a way that is great. It's very, like, they're able to do this, and it's establishing such a tone for all of the Absolute comics, but especially this book, where we're like, it's just bigger, faster, stronger, more now. Like, this is the Batman comic for our current lifestyle and time. And it's great. You can't knock it. It's setting up an expectation and being like, yep, it's going to be just a little bit meatier than you thought. Yum, yum.
But it's also funny. Like, the rickshaw moment was hysterical, where he's like, fuck you, Batman. Oh, my God. It's great on a lot of different levels.
A couple of things I want to throw out there. One, love the dynamic of all of his friends knowing he's Batman and trying to help out. And to be clear, in another universe, his friends would be the Riddler, the Penguin, Two-Face, Killer Croc, etc. So it's really interesting, like we talked about before, to think, when is that going to turn? Is that going to turn? What does it mean if they keep supporting him? Just, it changes it a lot, and it makes it really fascinating character dynamics. The second one is Scott has talked a lot about how this book is about his relationship with his son, and I think that really comes through in the scene with Alfred and Batman right before Batman deploys, where Alfred just can't, like, he almost calls him son, but then he just can't bring himself to do it, which I thought was really nicely done. And the last thing, I just want to do a pitch to McFarlane Toys. I think they should do a Russian nesting doll that's Venomed out Bane, Absolute Bane, then regular Bane, then Batman, Absolute Batman, and then like Alfred in the middle or something.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Very specific toy order from Alex. The other thing I want to highlight is it's great to see Batman, see Bruce having a little relation. He's just having a fun little romp with this universe's Selena Kyle, and I love that. I want more of that.
New Avengers #1 from Marvel, written by Sam Humphries, art by Tone Lima. Bucky and Black Widow are putting together a team to
putting together a lot of stuff.
They are putting together a lot of stuff, Pete. Yes,
their bodies is what
Hey, come on!
Oh yeah. Anyway, they're putting together a team. Most of the team you see on the cover doesn't show up this issue, but they are fighting against evil cloned versions of the Illuminati that aren't called this in this issue, but eventually will be called the Kill Illuminati. So we get introduced to them here. You guys seem pretty stoked about this, so take it away.
Yeah, I loved this. I thought this was great. I love seeing Bucky and Black Widow together again.
Yeah, you do.
Like, I love that relationship. They even say, like, it's great that this is working out again. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, yes, please. It was so upsetting when there was the mind wipe that erased their relationship from Black Widow's mind.
Nothing worse than a mind wipe.
Nothing worse than a mind wipe. I do it. I will say I do it once a week just to clean the slate. You know, I want to be able to come fresh to my guys. I forget your names, but really cool guys on this podcast.
Oh, thanks, man.
Love both of them. Yeah, whatever it is, it looks like Pete CB or whatever it is. But what I want to say about this also is it reminded me, we have the main characters featured here are Bucky, Black Widow, and Wolverine, Laura Kinney. Reminiscent of the famed X-Men cover we get Captain America, Black Widow, and Logan Wolverine. I was feeling a little bit of that nice historical callback there by putting these characters together. I love the idea of these new Avengers. I thought the Killuminati were great, demented. Like, I love this sort of twisted poison version of those we get here. I'm curious how the rest of these characters are coming in, because we have Namor, who appears here a little bit. We have Scar from Planet
this
Sakaar.
Is Hulk.
Oh, that's not Scar?
That's Hulk.
Oh, wow. I wish it was Scar then.
Sorry.
Can I say that? Can I just say I wish that?
Yeah, no, that's fine. You
can't.
We started this podcast as a place to put our wishes.
Yes, that's true.
Because
all of our wishes are about comics.
Pete, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I just, first off, like the last couple of panels, like reveal at the end was really a fun kind of heightened twist. I thought thought this was a blast. I thought this was a fun kind of almost feels like a reply to the Absolute kind of world where everybody's kind of beefed up and turned up to 11 here. And so it's fun. It seems like this is a fun idea. And so, yeah, I just felt like this is, I love the pace of this, love the art. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. But this does feel like a new Avengers, which is exciting. Sometimes you're just like, we're just doing a number one here to sell comics. But this is like a new idea and a new team. So, yeah, I'm excited for this.
Weird villain choice, the Jackal.
Blue Palo Verde, number one from Bad Cave Studios, written by Ray Foxe, art by Ramonti. This is following a woman who just got out of jail and runs into a weird supernatural mystery in her hometown. What do you guys think about this one?
I thought this was cool. I like the badass main character. I thought it was a cool cover, and I kind of, we get this kind of creepy town, weird priest kind of thing setups, but I think they did a good job of setting up a first issue kind of world of like, okay, yeah, we can relate. She's trying to start fresh, just got out of jail. Nobody's there to pick her up. What's going on with her dad? It seems like her dad's maybe in this weird town/cult. And, you got to be suspicious of towns where everybody's kind of like doing a kind of weird culty thing. You know what I mean?
And you live in a small town, right, Pete? In Question Mark, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's right. Quite old Question Mark, Pennsylvania, baby.
I like the setting of this comic a lot, and the comic does some good work of really establishing that as it's turning weird. We get some nice, the art has some nice colors to it that really make this setting a little bit different from everything else. I thought it was interesting. You see Ray Fox's name signed on every page, which I thought was sort of strange.
Hey, believe in your art, man. You sign off on it.
Yeah.
But he's the writer, so I just thought that was weird.
That might have been the preview that we were reading.
Oh, maybe.
Potentially.
Yeah,
maybe.
I
don't
hope
know.
so.
I guess. Or be proud of your stuff, writers and artists, I say. Action Comics 1087 from DC Comics, written by Mark Waid, art by Skylar Patridge. This is jumping back to Superman Superboy days and showing some of the inspiration that drove him to be the hero we know he can be.
Apparently it's going to be the summer of Superman.
It is the summer of Superman. We are deep in the summer of Superman right now, leading up to the Superman movie, and then that stops because, as we all know, movies are the pinnacle that comics are just reaching towards.
What?
And human achievement. I think we all will agree on that.
Hard pass.
I feel like hard pass on movies.
Yeah, I just feel like, movies are stealing from comics, you know what I mean? Like, it should be the other way around. We should be talking about comics as this high-level art and not movies, you know what I mean?
No, I don't think so.
Wow, if only anyone anywhere else has ever had this discussion.
Yeah.
Speaking about this,
back to our comic book podcast. Go ahead, Justin.
Yes, exactly. God, I can't believe I keep saying this. I wish this was a movie. This comic, I feel like Mark Waid is really, I don't know how they maneuvered to land on what the components of Summer of Superman, what they would be, but man, Mark Waid has set himself up to write a story that is just perfectly suited to him, to be able to take his vast knowledge of Superman and all DC and comics continuity and write heartfelt stories that touch on that while still just driving the character forward. He's become, especially his work lately, a master juggler of a lot of ideas at once, and this issue I felt like just had a lot of that going while still being a really fun, bright new read in the Superman world.
Yeah, I mean, what Justin said, I'm really impressed by the touching story we get with Superman here, and then fun villain reveal at the end.
Spider-Girl, #1 from Marvel, written by Torrin Grønbæk, art by Andre Riso. This is spinning out of the Spider-Boy series. And this character has a very complicated origin that I won't get into here, but basically... Okay, I don't remember whether she is a mutant or not, but she has the power to copy other powers, I believe, and they got stuck with Spider-Boy powers. I believe that's the short version of it, due to a fighting arena type thing, and now she is the new Spider-Girl swinging around the city. We meet her supporting cast this issue. She tussles with some villains, and there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a minute since I've lived in New York City, but I just remember it mainly being about fighting rats every day you leave your house. So I feel like they did a great job of capturing that in this issue. Cool dojo. But yeah, there's a real fun vibe to this comic and fun vibe to the art. It's got a kind of young, kind of hip look to it, which I think really works well. I started this comic with my arms folded and it won me over, so I was impressed.
Oof, hard to do. And so anyways, and yes, Pete, this comic is basically a documentary of life in New York City. So if you need your fix, definitely read this. I agree with you, though. I did enjoy this. She is a mutant, so that's a fun little twist to get in on this. This, the Spider-Boy side of things, I feel like I've always been a little bit skeptical of in the Spider-Verse, but this comic feels like a fun new step outside of that direction.
Transformers, #21 from Skybound Image Comics, written by Daniel Warren Johnson, art by Jorge Corona. In this issue, the Autobots are fighting the Decepticons for the fate of Earth and Cybertron.
Oh, man! Just get your pump saying it out
you
loud,
bastard.
Right? Come on! Yeah!
Well, Pete...
Go ahead.
All right. Well, first off, my childhood is having the greatest time. I mean, oh my God, when Superior transformed, I was like, oh shit, dude. Man, and we all knew that Megatron was gonna, or Optimus was gonna rip off his Megatron arm, but dude, when Megatron picked it up, I was losing my goddamn mind. I knew it was coming, but then when it happened, it was still so cool. Yeah, I'm having a blast with this, but I'm sure it's just because I love Transformers so much as a kid. But yeah, this is just every couple of panels, I'm just kind of freaking out at how kick-ass and amazing this art is, and I'm having a blast.
Do you feel like this? What would this comic have to do, Pete, to lose you? Because I feel like we've talked about this a bit. Like, I think Alex, you and I have been a little bit like, it feels like this comic is a little bit doing a lot of a similar type of storytelling. Where there's a lot of smashing, and the couple that, like, this one was like, arm is a little different, and then nope, it's back to normal arm right after this.
Can I? Sorry, go ahead.
You go.
Pete's not going to answer the question at any.
No, he's not.
No, absolutely not. He's not going to fall in this trap. He's too smart to fall in this trap.
Ah, Jesus Christ, with this shit.
Yeah, like a baby.
I am not too smart to fall in this trap. That's what you're supposed to say, Pete. Anyway, the arm thing really bothered me. And it bothered me because that was the single most interesting thing about this comic so far, was the fact that Optimus was being corrupted by Megatron's cannon arm.
Yep.
The panel where he turns the cannon arm on his Autobots, and there's a pause there, that was the one thing that got me in this book, where I was like, ooh, okay, what's going to happen next? And what happened next was like, blast my arm off. And they blast his arm off. And then, like Pete said, Megatron's like, well, that's back to being my arm now. Which is just the least interesting end to this plot line I possibly could have imagined. Is Optimus is like, I don't want this arm anymore. You take this arm. And then Megatron becomes like a slightly more powerful, tiny little gun.
Right. And then the issue ends with like, Decepticons, prepare for conquest. And I was like, okay.
What were you doing so far?
Yes, that's what you've been doing this whole time, guys. So like, and it's crazy, like, because the art is very cool. I like some of the stuff that's happening, like we're talking about here. It just feels like there's a sameness that I think they just need to break the pattern of a little bit in this and get somewhere outside the story, like shift one major element, and maybe all this stuff does work and feels a little bit more fresh.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to take the bait so bad. I'm trying, but I just feel that I just feel like
it's a little bit of a ham sandwich. It's a chicken wing. I'm dangling on a little string.
It's just
aren't you hungry, Pete?
What the fuck did you think or want to happen with the arm? It's Megatron's arm. Of course, he's going to get it back eventually. That's what we want to have happen.
Okay, Pete, now just bite down on the bait. Bite down on the bait.
I just think that, like, that's how it's got to happen. I mean, the good news is Optimus stopped the evil arm before it, like, murdered his whole team.
Good news.
Yeah.
But, like, he's just back to being the same old, like, guy where not much changed. And I think...
Yeah, I mean, it's only one issue, man. I mean, take it easy. I mean...
I'm so sorry. This is 21 issues.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, this is
no, you're right. There might be repercussions we don't know about, both for Optimus Prime and Megatron, but right now, by the end of the issue, it seems like there is not. Other than Optimus Prime is down an arm, which is more a logistical problem than an emotional problem. And the thing that I've been most fascinated about is this idea that Optimus Prime, our most steadfast character, is he's losing time. He's having dark impulses. What does that do to him? And I don't need to see like full dark Optimus Prime, but seeing him challenged in this way is interesting. And to cut off that plot line and just be like, nope, not doing that anymore, is not as interesting as taking it to the logical bottom. And it doesn't feel like he in any way hit rock bottom yet.
The thing with Transformers is their catchphrase is more than meets the eye, not just what you expect to meet your eye.
Oh, man.
Well, anyway, Batman Dark Patterns, #7 from
cool
DC
cover.
Comics, written by Dan Waters, art by Hayden Sherman. It is a cool cover showing a silhouette of Batman with just the bat signal with various sticks and patterns around him, per the title of this arc, which is not Parabellum, but it's something like that.
Yes,
it is a phenomenon,
pareidolia,
something like that, where you see patterns where they may or may not exist. That's what he's dealing with here, as well as the history of the Red Hood gang Another fantastic issue of this book.
Yeah, agreed. It really is fantastic. And also the art does such a great job of like setting this kind of Gotham tone, the grit to it that I love so much. And also great to see Alfred being Alfred and helping Batman. You know what I mean? That's the Alfred I like to see. This really hit a lot of different spots for me, and I'm having an absolute blast with it.
We've seen a lot of Alfred this week. And this one's the one you like because he was just like, "What do you need, master?"
No, how dare you? How dare you? It was Alfred being like, that reminds me of this quote that will help you in your case. That's the Alfred I like.
And then Bruce Wayne is like, pareidolia. He's like, "What'd you say?" He's like, "Nothing. Never mind. I need evidence. Get out of here." Go to bed.
But it's an interesting thing because it's like this idea that there are patterns. That's a big way of Batman kind of putting clues together. So it's this weird thing of like Batman fighting against himself and these patterns that are emerging.
Especially when the patterns are dark, like in this comic. The dark patterns that we're talking about here. Do you think Alfred ever asked for a raise? Like when he's like bandaging him up, he's like, hey, this is weird.
That's I need
a little
time
bit
to do
more
it.
money.
Yeah.
Do you think he has a money bin somewhere like Uncle Scrooge?
I mean, he's not going on a lot of vacations.
Both.
Both. Rival money bins.
Joined money bins so they can both dive into them at the same time. Swim around in the money.
It is very crazy that part of our lives, our upbringing, was the idea that this duck has a money bin and only he can swim in it. When other people try and swim in it, they can't. He swims through coins, and the other ones can't swim through those coins. But these beagles are always trying to rob him, even though he's swimming in it. This comic, the art is fantastic, but beyond that, just literally the structure of the book across all of the arcs. This is a new arc that we're just getting into. It is setting up patterns in the art, in the paneling, and in just the plots, even though these are disconnected stories, we're getting patterns. There's always like a corpse in a strange place. We go to the morgue over and over again, even though like that's not really, it doesn't seem like that's a big part of the actual narrative, but we keep doing that. So I feel like there's a superstructure to this book that is infecting our brains and sort of like the pareidolia of it all. Like I feel like I'm seeing patterns that may or may not be there as well. So I feel like this book is deceptively like, it's just a series of 3-issue arcs that are a little bit art book and a little bit just interesting, weird Batman story. And I'm like, there's more going on here. Don't you dare try to trick me.
Giant Size Amazing Spider-Man #1 from Marvel, written by Kevin Smith, Chip Zdarsky, Al Ewing, and Mitsuyasu Sakai. Art by Giuseppe Camuncoli, Mark Buckingham, Kafu, and Gerardo Sandoval. This is, as you can probably tell from the credits, 4 different stories set throughout the world of Spider-Man. We get a Kevin Smith goof story. We get a serious Chip Zdarsky story, a very weird Al Ewing story, and then a Kid Venom story that brings him into the main Marvel universe. What'd you guys think? Pete, I know you don't like giant books, but...
Yeah, I don't like giant books. But yeah, the first story was fun. I like the Taylor Swift joke was fun. I enjoyed the Happy 616 Day. I thought that was cool. And then you had the Roger the Rapid guy, and the Kid Venom. Yeah, I thought these were a fun collection of stories.
Sounds like you liked it.
Yeah.
How did it feel having Kevin Smith out there writing a comic? Anybody?
You're opening it to the class?
I was asking, this is what we just read. Like, Kevin Smith, someone who is, famously came through the comic book industry and really reinvented Green Arrow, brought Green Arrow back, from death, and has created a couple of villains that still endure. Kevin Smith, I thought, this story was pretty funny. I was actually pleasantly surprised by what happened in that.
I mean, I just can't believe that after all these years, I just can't get enough of his body, of work.
Wow. The unstable molecules of it all, I thought was fun. I feel like a couple stacks ago, I was talking about how, or maybe it was last week, there's a whole issue about like, oh, I got to go talk to Reed because he is the guy that makes outfits for all of
Yes.
the Marvel
Yeah, I
universe.
was thinking about that a while back.
It really hit on that. It's like he heard me months ago.
Yeah.
When he wrote this.
I don't know, guys. I don't know about that one.
You didn't like the butt stuff?
I mean, why is this a conflict? Him being like, oops, I ripped my pants. No way of solving this problem.
Oops, I crapped my pants.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that is a problem.
Wow, we can't buy this premise, huh?
I could not buy that premise. I'm sorry.
People don't rip pants. That's ridiculous.
All I'm saying is he ripped his pants, and instead of just getting some new pants, or something that Spider-Man has done 1 million times, stealing pants off like a laundry line on the rooftop or whatever.
That's
like,
a crime, nope, Alex. That's a crime.
Gotta visit, swing all over the city to Doctor Strange to fix my pants.
Showing ass.
Showing ass, and then go over to the Fantastic Four, and I don't know. It even as a comedy premise, it stretched my credulity.
Just like the unstable molecules that eventually solve his problem. I want to shout out the is it the Al Ewing story that had Win from the Gods book, a comic that I enjoyed, but I was like, no one's ever going to pick up this story at all. And we get to see a nice story featuring one of the characters there that I thought was a bit meta, but I thought it worked in a good way. The Chip Zdarsky story was interesting, strange in this collection to be like, here's a new character that barely features Spider-Man, but good. And then the final one, I was like, I don't know what's happening here at all with Kid Venom.
Yeah. All right, well, why don't we move on and talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #9 from IDW, written by Jason Aaron, art by Juan Ferreira. The Turtle Brothers are back together, but are fighting, and Donnie has been taken by the Foot... It's not called the Foot Clan, Foot Patrol now, something like that. Whatever it is, they're working for the mayor, who has taken over New York City and imposed martial law. One of the more popular things for fictional comic book mayors to do in today's society. And, the rest of the brothers are starting to get together. This issue... Pete, you thought it was never going to happen last issue, but here it happens.
Yeah, so excited that they're finally starting to stop fight and work together. And yeah, just so great to kind of see that happen. I'm still a little lost on this whole dead rat thing, but...
the dead rat is Master Splinter.
No,
I know
that.
The dead rat talks.
No,
yeah, guys, talks.
Splinter, well, here's
I'm
the thing.
familiar with the premise of Splinter, Ninja Turtles.
Splinter was a rat. Splinter was a rat. Do you know that? Do you remember that? That might be why it's confusing. Let's remember, he was a rat.
I'm not going to sit here and let you guys question my knowledge of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
If you're not reading this, all jokes aside, so in the book, Donnie went a little crazy, and he has this dead, rotted rat who's been riding on his shoulder, and he's been calling it Master Splinter and talking to him like it's Master Splinter. Everybody thinks it's crazy. Everybody else starts to hear Master Splinter in this issue, and it is pretty clear through the dialogue that the dead rat is saying in the issue that, yes, it is Master Splinter. You saw that, of course, right, Pete?
Yeah, I just...
the dialogue from the dead rat, who was hello, I'm Master
Yeah.
Splinter. You read that part and saw that.
I did not see that.
And believe it.
Really? So you don't believe yet? You don't believe in Master Splinter?
You will, Pete.
You'll get there. You saw it, right, Justin?
Of course.
Yeah.
But also, we're New Yorkers, so we're closer to like karate, rats that know karate. Because let's remember, in the story, Splinter was a rat that learned karate and was later mutated into a larger.
Yeah, you guys, you keep bringing up the same points every time. So listen,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles more than meets the rat.
Oh boy.
And all the rats in New York City talk to me honestly.
Yeah. And a lot of them know different forms of martial arts.
So as long as they land that ship, I'll be having a great time. But I'm hoping Donnie can get some nutrients and get back to himself soon, because he is looking in rough shape.
I saw a rat the other night that knew the drunken fighting style, and that was very impressive. It was just weaving back and forth, and I was like, whoa.
You saw a drunk rat?
I saw a drunk rat.
So there's pizza rat, there's drunk rat now. That's cool.
Yeah. Sorry, to be clear, I got a rat drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
There
Alex is drinking with rats. He's got tiny shot glasses.
We've all been there.
No, you drink, rat. I enjoyed this as well. I like the way the story is going in sort of upsetting expectations and having everybody get on board with the very gross rat corpse as their once and future leader.
And just to wrap this up here, I just want to say never get drunk and play strip poker with rats. They do not have a lot of clothes on to begin with. So.
Yeah, just tiny hats.
Yep.
Rats and hats.
Great art.
DC versus Vampires, World War V, number 10 from DC Comics, written by Michael Rosenberg and Cecil Castellucci, art by Otto Schmidt and Marley Zarcone. In the front story, things are really starting to coalesce between the humans and vampires as they try to stop Darkseid from destroying the Earth. And in the backup story, a bunch of weird characters I want to say are from Young Animal are all in there, but I could be wrong about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that name in a while.
This is awesome. This is just an action-packed issue. I love every panel. The art's amazing. This is just nonstop thrill ride. Man, just a bevy of OMG moments here leading up to Darkseid and that last panel. Holy shit. Happy Father's Day, motherfuckers. This is a fucking thrill ride right here, man. I love this.
I mean, when we talked last time, we talked to Matt Rosenberg. We talked about like just can he just keep doing this forever? And every issue I read, I'm like, keep going. So I want more of this always. I especially love this relationship between the Ra's al Ghul and the Alfred Batman and Green Lantern. I think that's such a fun. I just want to see that continue on. And I did enjoy the backup. I think the fact that this comic is constantly featuring the main story that is big, interesting, wild all the time, and a backup that explores a smaller portion of the universe with a lot of different tones, a lot of different art style. Definitely enjoying that.
Yeah.
Marvel United, a Pride Special number 1 from Marvel, written by Al Ewing, Wyatt Kennedy, Zoe Tunnell, and Anthony Oliveira. Art by Kay Zama, Bailey Underwood, Frederica Manson, and Pablo Collar. This is an oversized issue which focuses on the LGBTQ plus members of the Marvel Universe in a variety of short stories, all getting mashed up together. What'd you guys think about this one?
I thought this was a cool collection of stories. I really liked the art. I also thought the Black Cat story, I'm not usually the Black Cat head in this trio, but that one to me really stood out. I really liked it. I mean, it wasn't as like layered as the DC Pride one, but it was still a collection of good stories and great art. So
I agree. I enjoyed this. I wanted to highlight the Mystique, Destiny, and Nightcrawler story. I loved that. That bit of plot was really picked up on and taken. I think that's such an interesting
best Mystique I've seen in a long time, man.
Yeah, it's just such a nice relationship, and the fact that they sort of finally put something to the Mystique, Nightcrawler, Destiny relationship and made that a real thing in the Marvel Universe, I think is excellent. I love that they followed up on it here in this collection.
I agree with you, Pete, that it was hard to get the DC Pride special out of my head while I was reading it, because that was so standout and such a phenomenal package through and through. This is what we were talking about back with that they told one story that went over multiple bits, as well as a backup story in the DC Pride issue. And I think we were talking about, like, yeah, you could have just done a thing where it's like, here's your John Ken story, here's your Harley Quinn story, have a nice Pride. Without being dismissive, that's kind of what this is a bunch of otherwise unrelated stories with a really nice intro at the beginning. And I don't want to say one approach is necessarily worse than the other. The other thing that I think characterizes the two differently is DC Pride is very much about the LGBTQ plus experience. It's set in a gay bar. It shows what it means to these characters if their lives had gone differently, either pre-coming out or post-coming out or during the process or anything like that, versus this, which is like, here are characters who are part of the community just doing their thing. almost having nothing
Yeah.
to do with their sexuality whatsoever. And I think there's things to be said for both approaches. You know, you might not like one more.
I think both
more
have
than the other,
value,
but-
and
Yeah.
they're just very
Agreed.
different approaches to an issue like this,
for sure.
a comic issue.
Regardless, something is killing the children. Number 42 from Boom
End of
Studios.
statement.
Written by James Todd IV. Art by Werther Deladero. We are still in flashback mode here as young Erica and her mentor come to a small town where there are, you'll be shocked to hear this, something killing the children. And yet another
shocked.
solid issue of this book, but I'll reiterate what I said last issue. Really would love to get back to the present. That's all.
Well, let me say, just a heat check on this book in general. I feel like I really liked some of my favorite stories were the one-offs that were, I think, the last arc. And that felt like it was sort of had a little bit of pace to it. I feel like this arc has really slowed down the story. So what's the heat check, as you guys are sort of bigger fans of this comic than I am. I like it, but you're the champions of it. How do you feel about it right now, 42 issues in, with the way that the narrative is sort of going?
Well, I feel like this is a great issue to check the heat because this is a hot issue. A lot goes down. First, I just got to take a moment and talk about the beautiful art. I mean, these panels, the tone, the way it just pulls you into this world, just so exciting. Every time I pick up this comic, I get chills to be like, oh, I can't wait to get in this world and see what's going to happen. But, yeah, so we're kind of at this thing where in this issue, we get to kind of see, you know, we haven't really seen, like, from the point of view of the people who are about to get murdered by monsters. And something that kind of is revealed in this issue, spoilers, is the parents are kind of in the dark about a lot of this. I mean, shocking. That's kind of a premise for a lot of things. But I just feel like it was something I didn't realize before, that the kids were the only ones who could kind of see the monsters. So I thought that was kind of a cool reveal that we got in this issue of, like, the kind of parents being like, what are you talking about? And the monsters kind of being all around them. So, yeah, as far as heat check, I thought, I was like, oh shit, that is kind of crazy. And an interesting fact that we hadn't gotten till this deep into it. But, yeah, I'm still loving this comic. I'm still having a blast with it. And whether they want to give me, you know, flashbacks of pieces of important information for what we need to get back to the present, either way, I'm along for the ride and I'm buckled in and having a great time.
I think we did know that about the adults, but I do like the way that they framed it up with the kids seeing the monsters and the adults not seeing the monsters. It's very cool.
Great last page.
I agree. We did get that information before, but I feel like the way it was kind of shown instead of like, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't have a problem with the pace to the point that you're making, Justin. This feels pretty much on par for the title, which, like, the first arc was, I don't know, however many issues long, and one thing would happen per issue, which I know was one of the things that you didn't like about it initially. So I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with, to use an example of a comic book near and dear to your heart, I really like that last arc showing us what happened previously. It's like if Starman did a Times Past issue, and then another Times Past issue, and a third Times Past issue,
Yes.
Just to get
and a
you
fourth
more
one, and a
pumped.
fifth one, and they're like,
just get you like,
but it led you up to the present where you were in the series and gave some really ominous teasers, and you're like, okay, here we go. And
Here
they're
we
like,
go.
guess what? 5-issue
Not
Times
yet.
Past arc. Here we go.
no, not yet. I'll
I'm
wait
like,
for it.
Well, let's just get to the present. Like,
That's a great-
Like, I'd be 100% into reading this arc if it happened any other time or its own mini-series or anything like that.
That's a great way of putting it, because I think that's why it feels so slow to me now, is that it is that what you described as times past.
Yeah. But still like the series, excited to see where it goes. Just come on. Let's go. Fire and Ice, When Hell Freezes Over, number 3 from DC Comics, written by Joanne Sterer, art by Stephen Byrne. Fire and Ice have switched bodies and powers, and everybody else in town has done the same, and they're trying to get it back, and per the cover, you could probably figure this out, but they recruit the demon Etrigan to take them to hell to see if they can reverse this spell, and goofs ensue.
Goofs do ensue, and I gotta say, I feel like, we talked about the first arc they did of this like last year-ish, and I think this series has been really working for me. I think it's fun in the right way. It feels very much like not necessarily the Justice League title that came many years ago in that run, balancing the comedy and some good superhero antics, and this keeps that going.
Yeah, I thought this was fun. I thought the arts had a kind of fun vibe, and they kind of kept that going throughout. It's nice to see the old E-Dragon here. So, I feel like this is going to be interesting and worth it.
I'm really enjoying this book. I do think this is better than the first miniseries and funnier. They keep adding some weird wild swings to the body switching things that are...
the pillow.
Like the pillow.
The Pillow Man.
Yes, exactly. Everything's a lot of fun. One World Under Doom, number 5 from Marvel, written by Ryan North, art by R.B. Silva. The cliffhanger at the end of the last issue was the world's heroes have united behind Doom. And this issue, they all rally together to take down Dormammu, leading to some heated debate about Doom and whether he really is a savior, and a big revelation at the end that we're going to have to wait 2 months to find out what the deal with that is.
Every time you
the
say
2 month thing was a surprise to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of it at the end of the book. Sorry.
Every time that you say the artist, I get excited because I think you're going to say RBs, but you just say RB Silva.
Because you love thin beef.
They actually, back in the day, they tried to have roast beef draw comic books, and it just didn't turn out well.
It was too delicious. People were eating the pages.
Exactly. It was good art.
The first comics were printed on roast beef.
Really good.
Oh,
really
smart.
good stuff. Hard to save them.
Yeah,
that's why
hard
they
to
started
save.
bagging and boarding them, was to keep the meat fresh.
Exactly.
that's
And the ink was made out of horsey sauce.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That's
irresistible. That's why there's so few copies of Amazing Fantasy
bring
left,
up-
because it's all meat and sauce.
horsey sauce. What the fuck?
That's what it's called.
First off,
I love
cool
horsey
cover.
sauce.
Me too.
I'm enjoying this. I like the kind of reveal we get at the end here. Great to see her alive, so I was very excited about that. I could have done without the...
Sorry, mild spoiler here, but he's talking about her, the character Scarlett Johansson plays in the movie Her.
Talking about Maria Hill. I was
phone.
trying not to spoil it for people.
It's okay. We put a spoiler warning at the top of the show.
All right, it's still, anyways.
You don't have to keep saying it. It's cool.
I could have done without the, maybe Doom's going to be a great leader speech, but other than that, I was having fun.
What do you think? Do you think Thor's really gonna really back Doom from here on out? You think he's become a real Doom guy?
Yeah, he's
This
going to
is
show up with
still
a red
not
hat that
working
says
for
"Make
me. Like,
Asgard
I-
great again."
I get the logic of having Thor be like, well, I'm a king. Why can't Earth have a king? I get that. That logically makes sense. And even having him fall through, but them all standing around, the person I agree with most in this situation is Iron Man, who's like, what are you all talking about? Why are we debating this? And that's how I feel about this comic book, is anytime they're like, we're going to have a really serious debate about this, it doesn't work in any direction. It doesn't work in the direction of let's legitimately talk about Doom. It doesn't work in the direction of them being like, well, we know Doom is evil, so let's fight against it. None of the stuff is coalescing.
Well, I agree, because it's too clear that they're going to fight Doom. And in the back of this issue, like we said, Maria Hill's like, here's the thing, guys, Doom is bad. And I was like, yeah, I know that so hard, Maria Hill. And it's set up as a big reveal. And I don't want to knock Ryan North or just the idea of this crossover in general, and this being an animated story for the Marvel Comics universe. But I think the way in is is been the damaging part, where it's Doom stole or tricked Doctor Strange into giving him his powers, and that allowed him to take over the world. We know he's bad.
Right.
So, that's going to be... he's going to continue to be bad.
Yes. Well, we'll see what happens. We have another 2 months until that continues. Blood and Thunder, number 2 from Skybound at Image Comics, written by Benito Serrano, art by E.J. Sue. We've got this red-haired lady Blood. We've got her gun Thunder, and they are teaming up.
Yeah, they are. I first off, badass cover. It's just a girl talking to her gun. What's weird about this? It's just a lady and her gun against the universe. I think I love the kind of world that this sets up. It's an interesting premise. I feel like this is cool, and I would like more.
It's also very violent, by the way, just to throw that out there. There's a big alien on the loose that they're trying to take down, and he keeps chopping and ripping people apart. Justin, what do you think about this one?
I think the art is the real star here. Like the story, like I think the first issue we talked about how it was like being a little bit coy about what was where we're headed with it, and I think that's continuing a bit. But it's also strange that what's going on with her hair. It's like a cloud.
I don't know. There's apparently some origin story behind that, and I don't know. We don't know what it is yet.
You've never heard of cloud hair, dude? It's the best, man.
Yep.
Why is it good?
Well, first off, you get like free showers out of it and stuff, so it's pretty sweet.
Oh, like a Charlie Brown situation?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, sweet. Supergirl, number 2 from DC Comics, written and drawn by Sophie Campbell. Supergirl has gone back to her own town of Midvale and encountered a Supergirl already there, except it's not. It's actually a citizen of Kandor who was jealous of Supergirl and decided to dress up with her and brainwash everybody, and they're fighting, leading to some status quo changes for both characters by the end of the issue. The end.
Yeah, it's always haters, you know what I mean? Someone just got to be hating on Supergirl, wanting to be, better and more popular and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, art's cool. This is a fun story, an interesting kind of setup. It wasn't anything that I was blown away with, but it was kind of touching and nice and had a kind of light tone to it, so that was cool.
Yeah, I really like the sort of area this book is carving out in the DC universe. And Sophie Campbell doing both the writing and art, it feels like a nice package, to quote Pete quoting me, but something that is really like a statement on a character, especially a character that has a convoluted past and a more recent sort of dark take that was super popular. So it feels like a big swing to go this way. Something in the world of artistically, it has a little bit of a more youthful feel, a little like Archie comics, while still being like legit in the superheroics that are happening here.
Nice. Yeah, I like that.
Deadpool Wolverine number 6 from Marvel, written by Benjamin Percy, art by Robert Gill. Last issue, we got a weird reveal where we got a split between Wolverine, Strife, and Apocalypse. We get the answer to what that means in this issue, and what that means is Apocalypse has kind of done what he always wanted to do, put himself in a Nathan Summers body and travel back in time, and he needs Strife's spiky helmet to make it all worth it.
It all comes down to the helmet.
It does.
Yeah.
Has Strife's helmet been important in the past?
I don't think so.
Or is it?
Always.
Yeah. Well, first off, it's a strange helmet, and maybe I guess someone. So it is iconic. Someone correct us if it has been always a part of the canon, but I feel like Strife's power was in his unfettered by the cyber
TK.
Infection. The
TK
techno-organic virus that is that has affected the TKO virus that is just knocking him right out, technically. That has infected Cable. His unfettered access to his powers is what made him such a threat. So I don't know why his helmet is being big up as like, we gotta get that helmet. But like, I'm just surprised by this comic how little Wolverine is being featured. He is a villain in this. And Maverick is getting more play than either Deadpool and Wolverine in this comic. Then the real main character is like Apocalypse Strife, which is crazy. I will say this is a big week for hard light holograms, where we saw Nick Fury as a hard light hologram in this. We saw some hard light holograms mentioned in the Giant Size X-Men Phoenix book. There's just hard lights coming back so hard.
Yeah, even though I'm a huge Wolverine Deadpool head, and Fury just kind of spent most of this comic just shooting Wolverine over and over again, I'm having a blast with this. I still think this is fun. I love the art. I love all the action, kind of interesting twists and turns that kind of keep you on your toes. And I'm thinking maybe Strife, like military people had kind of like pictures in his helmet, important things, maybe some kind of like plans that people need to. Hopefully it's not the helmet, weird helmet map powers that we don't. Yeah, maybe that's just something, inside of it, like a treasure map. That would be cool.
Could be. We'll have to tune in next issue.
Tune in next time.
We'll have to. Never mind. Free Planet #2 from Image Comics, written by Aubrey Sitterson, art by Jed Doherty. This takes place on the last free planet in the universe, and there's a battle for its very existence going on. We talked to Aubrey about this a couple of months back at this point. So check out that chat in the live show feed. But this is a wildly structured and laid out comic book, and that continues to be my main takeaway in issue 2.
Deep dive comic, like the density and sort of shifting understanding of this world that this comic is laying out for us, and like every panel feels very considered in this comic, and very much like it feels a little bit old school in that way, and that's really nice. If you're looking for a big world to dive into, I would pick this up.
Yeah, I agree. I did have in my notes here the art and stuff has a cool old school feel to it that I appreciate when I'm reading this. And love the action and all the stuff that's kind of happening. We get kind of a real battle kind of in this. So cool stuff.
And this comic is trying to say something, and that's nice too.
Yeah. Planets are free, man.
Dark Regards! #2 from Oni Press, written by Dave Hill, art by Artyom Toplin. Speaking of people we talked to, we talked to Dave Hill a couple of weeks back about
we should have talked to him about this comic,
We did. And this is based on a true story where Dave created a fake but kind of real metal band called Witch Taint that started a minor war with Norwegian metal bands, and we're continuing to chart that rise and fall here. Justin, you worked with Dave back in the day. Did he really fail you in this second issue?
Yeah, Justin.
No, he's coming up so hard on this. Like, he's writing himself, and he's doing a great job of portraying himself, the truth of this story, and just the fun way that he looks at the world and is telling this comic book version of that. And shouts to his art at the back end of the book, which is really fun and funny.
Yeah, this is awesome. And after reading this, anytime I see a goth person, I'm just going to say dark regards to them, because I feel like that's a fun thing to say.
And they'll say in dark regards to you.
Yeah, and also with you. But yeah, I think this is cool. I love the nods in here. Fun Sandler, Airheads reference. Love the twists and turns. I love the fact that they're kind of making fun of things as they go, so you feel like you're in on the joke and what's happening. So yeah, this is a total blast.
Next up, Phoenix #12 from Marvel, written by Stephanie Phillips, art by Roy Mercado. A couple of weeks back, we did a State of the X-Men show, and a bunch of folks said that they really liked Phoenix, and we should check it out. We just sort of drifted away from it for no particular reason, so threw it in the stack here, and as it turns out, this is a flashback issue showing how Sarah Gray, Jean Grey's sister, is back alive. Not only that, with powers, and not only that, in space. Though there's some time missing there, we do get a little bit of that story and a big twist at the end. What do you guys think after a couple of issues away? Was it worth jumping back into ye old Phoenix?
Well, I was just going to say, I I enjoyed Cable in this, who is just not buying any of this shit that Sarah Gray is saying. So I thought that was a fun entrance and kind of a fun moment. This is an interesting conflict, and kind of I love the art. Maybe cool story, not sure yet, but I felt like this was a solid issue.
I mean, this just feels so far away from so much of what's happening in the rest of the X universe, and it is a flashback issue, and talking about a character that we don't really know too much about, so it makes sense that we don't get a lot of like bigger exploration of what's going on with Phoenix, but I just feel like the premise of this comic, when we talked about this in our previous look at it, it just feels like it's Jean Grey grappling with the Phoenix as opposed to Jean Grey grappling with herself. I would compare this to the Storm comic, which feels like it's going through Storm to find these interesting corners of the Marvel universe that are really a reflection on Storm, and we get to learn more about her as she's doing it. And this is more about, like, what if you really were the most powerful person in the universe? Would you be stressed out all the time? And it's like, yeah, I guess. I guess you would be.
Well, I would argue I think it's very hard to tell with this issue. Like, maybe that's what it was 10 issues ago, back when we last read the comic book. So I don't know what it is right now. But I did like this story of Sarah Gray. And I mean, there was a certain bit of nostalgia here as we walk through various X-Men events. We end up on, I think, the Phalanx Covenant, which... It's kind of a scary thing that happens in the comic with them putting those little phalanx bugs on everybody's heads and everything. So I like that moment quite a bit, and I agree with Pete. I thought the last moment was good as well, and that certainly hooked me enough to want to check out the next issue. I will say I don't love Jean Grey's new costume, but... looks a little too much like, is it Dark Star, who's on the Winter Guard?
Oh yes, yeah. Winter Guard.
Yeah, it looks like a slightly different colored Dark Star. That's all. Anyway, Geiger, number 15 from Image Comics, written by Jeff Johns, art by Gary Frank. The glowing man has met the glowing lady, and the glowing lady wants the glowing man to absorb all the radiation from a nuclear bomb, including hers, so she could just be regular lady instead of glowing lady. But... does the glowing lady stand up when the glowing happens to help the glowing man? Oh, you glowing bet yourself she does. You glow fuck yourself, I say.
I'm sorry. There's nothing more that needs to be said about this comic than what Alex has just laid out. Glow fuck yourself.
Glow fuck yourself. Yeah, I mean, all that aside, Alex. It was nice to see the back and forth, you know what I mean, of the... okay, here's the problem. I'm going to step up and kind of take this. Oh, crap, he's in trouble. Is she going to walk away, or is she going to kind of help him out? So it was nice to see that she did help him out. And then also after that, he went to his happy place. You know what I mean? So I thought that was kind of a fun moment with Geiger. You know what I mean? You know, he went back to some friends, and they were really happy to see him. And I was like, oh, Geiger, the Geigs. So, yeah, I enjoyed it.
A couple things I like about the way this comic has been going, and the way this issue ended, is feels like there's a real ensemble here now, and I think that's helpful. I also think that Geiger has just relaxed a little bit and is starting to soften. That maybe is the story that Jeff and Gary are trying to tell here, of a character that was in his lowest place, who loves eating radiation, and he's now able to like have a little bit of a glow up in a lot of ways. And I think that's what we're getting here, and I think it's in a good spot as it moves forward, and we get some good epilogues as to how it's going to move forward here.
Exceptional X-Men, number 10 from Marvel, written by Eva Ewing, art by Carmen Canero and Frederica Manson. I will fully admit here, as we've been sort of paring back and putting in some of the X-Men titles, I know I'm the one who likes this book, and you guys do not, so I meant to leave this out, but I legitimately completely forgot to do so. So here we are, talking about maybe
I'm not saying I don't like this book. I'm not saying I don't like this book. I'm just saying it's not. If I was to compare this and NYX, I preferred the sort of what was going on in NYX.
But I also, like, pulling back the curtain, like we were talking about last week, I do think we've been having the same conversation over and over, which you're like, this isn't as good as MIX. Pete's like, and I'm like, I like teen dramas. And that's kind of what we say about this. So I don't know. Do we feel like this turned a corner enough that it's worth continuing to talk about this book?
Well, what I liked about this...
Other than me.
Yes. What I liked about this issue is it really coalesced around this character whose name is, I think, Alex.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
Weird. Did I put this in the stack? This thing all about this guy named Alex?
Did I pay $20,000 to have my name put into a Marvel comic? I don't know. Maybe.
That is the price tag. But this character, this issue is about how a character named Alex emerges from the pack and really saves White Queen's life. And then she's like, "You are the best and most exceptional X-Man."
If it was Kitty Pryde, then I would have said, Alex spent $20,000 to do this.
No, it was another 20 grand to have Kitty Pryde kiss him, and I was like, I don't have that money.
What would your comic be called? Al X, I guess, would be pretty good. Or I may probably be Al
probably
Sex.
Sex Force.
Al Sex,
No.
Well, first off, fun cover. I thought this, and fun last panel. Fun to see kind of the Lockheed reveal, so that was kind of cool.
Well, the Lockheed reveal, I was like, what? Save him. What? How does she not know where Lockheed's been?
That was weirdly laid out. It was weirdly laid out because I think the idea there was they were talking about they don't know what else is in Mr. Sinister's clone banks. Kitty Pryde is sort of like, whew, what a fight. And then they show a tank with Lockheed in it, but I don't think that was the tank right next to her. I think there was just another tank somewhere in there that they're going to find later. But the way that it was laid out, it seemed like Kitty was right next to it and just didn't see him for some reason.
But are we saying that's the actual Lockheed? Because Kitty has not been around Lockheed, who is her friend and like pet. I don't know what exactly with the
I
pet.
assume it's a cloned Lockheed? I don't know.
Sick. You think Mr. Sinister's like, and then I'll also clone their pets.
Probably.
I love cloning. I'm going to clone all sorts of stuff.
He's a sicko freak. What else is he going to do? I really like this issue, and not just because of the teen drama stuff. I thought there was some really interesting.
You like the names of the characters?
I thought there were interesting things in terms of Emma Frost and this other character being trapped inside Mr. Sinister's brain, traveling through this very Alice in Wonderland type landscape through his past and his history. I thought the solution, finding the doll that really meant something to him, was interesting. And I thought the fight was cool as well. This team of teen X-Men all coming together to take him down. So I enjoyed it. I don't know.
Yeah, did you like when she was like, wait, I'm going to turn into my diamond form. That's more appropriate for this fight.
Yeah, because her diamond form, she doesn't have to worry about psychic intrusions.
I know. That's my point.
I like that she really announced what she's doing.
Here's one thing that I've been thinking about lately is, you know how characters do announce their powers in comic books? I think the other thing they should announce is how to pronounce their names. Like, how helpful would it be if, like, I am Magneto, the master of magnetism. The way that you pronounce that is Magneto, right?
Wow. Do you think you should have a little bouncing ball that we can kind of follow along with?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But a pronunciation,
Yeah, just
like it would be helpful.
Just like normal people do.
Exactly. I always say, my name is Alex. Alex.
Yeah.
Wow.
Al Sex.
Really.
Al Sex.
I don't know what just happened to your face, but yeah, that was super helpful.
Well, I tried.
Definitely made me understand you more.
World Tree number 15 from Image Comics, written by James Todd IV, art by Fernando Blanco. We are now firmly in the future that has been destroyed by the internet, which is to say, the present.
Oh, hot take.
Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
Another classic cool take. Comic Book Club.
Cool take.
Anyway, they are trying to figure out the past of our main nude lady character who has taken over and destroyed the future, and they've decided to make a documentary podcast about her as a way of fighting back.
The Ultimate Revenge is a lightly researched podcast, I like to think.
Yep.
And we're getting revenge on our younger selves, essentially.
You guys do research?
Yes, I actually do.
We read comics.
Oh.
And I read a lot. I do a lot of research. I know you're joking, Pete, but I do. Don't undervalue it. And that's my review of World Tree. What'd you guys think about this one?
I mean, I really like the way that they're exploring the past while also tipping the future. I think that's a smart way to do this, because this is a comic that was sort of moving through the present and being horrifying while not quite showing us what was happening. And the fact that they're sort of doing double duty on showing us, I think, is really cool.
I love the art. I also thought the ashtray was hilarious, the alien smoking a giant joint. I go back and forth on this comic, but overall it's pretty cool.
By the way, I do want to mention one little Easter egg here that I thought was pretty fun. So we have multiple time periods going. This is set in a wrecked future where they're trying to save the past. And in the background, sort of cut off, there was a poster on the wall for 20th Century Boys. I don't know if you guys have read that manga, but that's what that is. It takes place in multiple timelines with people who are kids, and you follow them as they sort of start to crash together with the older versions of themselves who have led to the end of the world. So you see what leads up to that and how they're hoping to reverse it at the end of the thing. So it's a little cute little Easter egg tell of what James Tynion is playing with here, I think.
Didn't we review that when we were doing? We had a little flirtation with some manga stuff. I feel like because we talked
it's
about
really
Death
good.
Note.
If anybody hasn't read it, 20th Century Boys is excellent. But
yeah, very fun.
Anyway, Magic #6 from Marvel, written by Ashley Allen, art by Jesus Hervés. In this issue, despite what's going on the cover, and I feel like maybe I got the wrong cover here, but Magic is teaming up with Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen, to take back Limbo from somebody who has made a new terrible sword to fight back against them.
Yes, the Wraith sword.
Justin, you love this book.
Yeah, Justin.
I do love this comic because this comic is doing something that I think a lot of comics strive for, telling us a story that is very detailed and deep into the character's continuity while making it accessible and interesting to anyone to pick up. I mean, the complications of this story, the fact that Madeline Pryor, who's a clone of Jean Grey, has been running Limbo from a building in Manhattan that other people visit in other comic books randomly. That she was recently dating a corpse of Havoc, but that sort of faded away. Now Magic, who is half, used to be the Queen of Limbo, has a demon that is half of her, which was the last storyline sort of exposed, is how close she is, the Dark Child is to emerging within her, and underneath all this is a friendship with Danny Moonstar, who you see on this cover that is not the actual cover of the comic, and Danny is starting to play into the story in a bigger way, but I think that's all to say, lots going on here, but it's still really good. One of my favorite X books.
I do agree that this is good. I like the Magic and Maddie team up here, and the fact that they kind of talk things out and talk about sharing Limbo. You know what I mean, and the responsibility.
Yeah, you got to share the Limbo bar,
and it's.
You can't play Limbo with only one person.
And Magic had some badass.
Ken is just sad.
Well, who's going to hold the bar?
I have my own rig.
Oh, you do, for practicing at home.
I'm not practicing. I guess I'm.
When
just
are the
performing.
championships again? Next month, right?
Next month, and it's really. I think you really age out of Limbo athleticism.
No.
Flexible.
You're going to do it forever. I believe in you. I also have a lot of money riding on you.
I'm like 5'8.5", and I think I can do 5'6". I can just slide under that 5'6" bar.
Probably. Again, a lot of money riding on you. If I win, I'm going to finally have enough to get Exceptional X-Men to have Kitty kiss the Alex character. So. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Lost Fantasy #2 from Image Comics, written by Kurt Pyers, art by Elena Casagrande. This was
one of your favorites, wasn't it, Alex?
It sure was, Pete. Thanks for teeing me up when I was talking anyway. This is an oversized comic where the front story is somebody I think it was in our Discord, described it as slightly Final Fantasy inspired. focusing on a white-haired fighter with a gigantic sword who kills monsters, and then the backup is continuing the Indigo Children's series that previously was created by this team, focusing on some superpowered kids in space. This is great, just really gorgeous art throughout. We don't even really follow our white-haired character at all this issue. Instead, we're focusing on another character who is on an opposing side to him, but it fleshes out the world and adds a lot of details about different characters here. There's a lot going on in this comic, a lot of big ideas, but it also doesn't forget that every once in a while, having a huge troll fighting a dude with a sword is a lot of fun.
A lightsaber, I would argue.
Yes. Which is crazy. It's great.
Yes. And I agree with you. I really enjoyed the first half of the story. I don't quite know exactly how everyone relates to everyone else, but the action was really interesting. The art's really cool. Excuse me, I got to shout out the Indigo Children backup. That's a comic that I really enjoyed, and I love that we're getting its continuation here.
Yeah, this is badass and great art.
Last but not least, Eddie Brock Carnage, number 5 from Marvel, written by Charles Soule, art by Juan Ramirez. In this issue, Eddie Brock has been horribly burned, and Carnage is refusing to help him heal. Meanwhile, Misty Knight is on Eddie Brock's trail and also the trail of the missing plane passengers that Carnage kidnapped, leading to a big showdown in the Snowdown. I thought this was great. There are great moments throughout here. There's a moment when Eddie jumps out of a plane and Misty jumps on top of him and is like, come on, you got to tell me where they are. And Carnage pops out and she's like, oh my God, you're not Venom. And I just thought it was great. Like the way the artist drew her realization of, oh shit, this is so much worse than I thought it was.
Wrong symbiote, yeah.
Yeah, really good moment. Fun stuff.
It's hard for a comic. I mean, comics are so meticulously planned and plotted, and it's hard for a comic to feel like the characters are being surprised in the moment. And that scene you just described was such a moment of like, what? And I think this comic is doing a lot of that, where like Eddie's constantly being like, come on, man, please heal me. And like, it's cold. I need to find these people. I think I can sense them. Like, everything feels very on the cusp and fresh as it's coming at you, which is, like I said, rare in comics. And this comic, a title that is like you have to look twice at, the same way Misty Knight did, is really, really doing that, and it's really working.
Yeah, Charles Soule is writing the shit out of this, and it's awesome to see kind of Carnage treated this way and have those kind of surprise moments. Also great to see Misty Knight kicking it, and I'm blessed with the twists and turns of this and all the action. This is a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be.
There you go. And that is it for the stack. If you'd like to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com/comic book club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about comics. Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice. To subscribe, listen, and follow the show, comicbookclublive.com. For this podcast and many more. Until next time, we'll see you at the Comic Book Club.
And if you're in New York this weekend, I will be painting live in person the Alex's cover for Sex Force. So come on down. It's going to be beautiful. He will be the featured model, and he will be nude.